Okay, so we're going to go through workout B over the next few minutes. We're going to be showing you different versions of those exercises, starting with squats. So using the chair, sit down close to the edge of the chair, plant your feet down. From there, lean over your feet and push the ground down. Stand tall. You can use your hands out for balance. Chair is right there where you left it. Send your hips down and back towards the chair. Land softly. Okay, push the floor down. Hinging at the hip. Send your hips back towards the seat. Hands out for balance. Land as quietly as you can. So little by little you're going to be hoping to touch the chair without actually sitting on it and coming back up. This gives you a good perfect form. Knee is not traveling forward too much. It will go forward a little bit. That's okay. Alright, now we're going to sit down. And if you feel like you fell back into the chair, do that one again. My feet are shoulder width apart, they're planted into the ground. What I mean by that is the ball of your foot, the heel of your foot and the ball of your foot and the outside of your foot are pushing into the ground. Don't come up on your toes, don't roll back on your heels. Keep your core engaged, hinging at the hip, straight line from head to here. I'm not curving my spine over. Push the floor down. You want to make that a little bit more challenging, you can pick up some dumbbells. And again, just bringing the dumbbells into it just gives you a lot more work to do. Slight bend in my elbows, and I'm just going to keep them out of the way. Land lightly. It's always a good idea to start in the seated position because then you have that peace of mind. The first one coming down, you're a little unsure, but if you start sitting down, put your feet in the right place, lean forward, push the ground away. You know that chair hasn't moved. You know it's right there. Okay. And a little bit more difficult. Keep the weights a little higher. Keep your core engaged. Hips to chair. Land softly. Then lean forward. Push the floor away. So right now we're looking for 12 to 15 repetitions. Another way to make that exercise a little bit more difficult is to choose a lower chair. So it's going to be getting good. You can have a chair here, lower bench here, and that last little bit control, don't fall back. Then lean over, difficult to get out of, push the floor away. So hands out for balance or have something close by for the lower half of the movement, just control it. And slow and controlled is the key. Slow and controlled. And again, next step, trying to touch it lightly, but don't sit on it and come back up. Feet again shoulder width apart, back stay straight and keep looking forward. Okay, so that's your squat. Initially 12 to 15 repetitions might be a little difficult, and then as it gets easier you make it tougher just by slowing it down. Go faster, or go slower I mean, and you're putting more work on, more braking action. Be able to pause anywhere along the way, change your mind at any point along the way. That tells you you've got great control over that. Once 15 gets too easy, we'll make it a more challenging version of the squat. But it's a very functional exercise, really good. Every time you sit on the couch, that's a great opportunity to practice your squat. Go down as low as you can, and then once you flop, the couch is going to catch you. So it's a really good challenge. See, make a game out of it every time you sit down. Our next exercise, we're going to be on the core, sit back. So from here, turn this chair just a little bit so you can see the angle. I'm going to sit close. First thing, we're going to stay tall from head to hips is tall. With this foot, my feet are still planted on the ground, and from here, hands out makes this easier because the weight of your arms acts as a counterbalance. And in fact, with this one, a light dumbbell or a heavy book or a bottle of water can actually help you do this a little easier. I'm hinging at the hip. My toes want to come up, and that's okay. And I touch the floor or touch the chair, and then I pull myself back upright. Now it's a really good idea if you lean forward again, hinging at the hip, and you get a nice stretch in that lower back. But really the work here starts once your head is over your hips. Pause, and then slowly as you put back, your core is stopping you from falling back. It's a really good core exercise, functional exercise, fall prevention exercise. Start off, go to the point where you lose control, and little by little, if you go there slowly, you get to really work at your challenge point. Hands out for balance, touch. If the chair is not as tall as my one, nice stretch as you go forward. If the chair isn't as tall as this, it'll be shoulders and back that touches the chair, not your head. Okay? So start off, go to your point before you fall, pause, pull yourself back up, go a little further. And at no point am I curving my spine. I'm not letting my lower back buckle out. I'm staying solid and tall, corset solid. Like I said, hands out makes it easier. So as you dial this in and you're getting really good control over it, exhale on the up. Just bring your hands down. Put your hands on your legs. Now it's more difficult because you don't have that counterweight leaned out there. And pull yourself back upright. If you want to lean forward and get a nice stretch, it feels good and it takes a lot of tension off the front of your hips too. So pull yourself forward. Alright, and that's your seated core exercise. Very good, very functional. Alright, so from here we are going to move this chair. So we got a balance, knee up and out exercise. Alright, so without the chair it looks like this. Knee comes up, slowly up, slowly out. Bring it back in slowly and bring it down slowly. So this is really slow, don't go too quickly. Go to the point where you can just about control. Bring it up. A little more. The foot I'm standing on, spread out my sneaker, plant it into the ground, and then slowly out, 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 out. Find a point where it feels like you're going to waver. Don't rush back. Bring it back under with the same control. Whoa. Same control, and then place it back down. Okay? After about 3 or 4, the leg you're standing on is really going to start getting fatigued. Your ankle muscles, your stabilizers are going to be doing a lot of work here. So with the chair close by, you have peace of mind. Alright, so we put the chair on the other side. Okay. So it's there. If you use your hand on it, you're more likely to take away from your balance work because your hand will support you. But if you place your hand on the back of the chair, it gives you all the spatial awareness you need to know exactly where you are and give you feedback. If you press into the chair, you know you're leaning this way. If you get away from the chair, you know you've leaned that way, and you can fix it before. But it's your stabilizers fixing it. It's not your hand and arm fixing it. Okay, slowly out. Come on back and place it down. I remember we had to double on that. If you're getting really good at this, you can bring it up, bring it out, bring it back. Let's go out again and bring it back and place it down. If it falls down, or if you go from here to here quickly, do that repetition again. From here you can come around to the other side. Yeah, it's just there for peace of mind. After a while we're not going to even use it, but it's still nice to know that it is there. Back of the hand is a progression. You can start off holding it, start out just putting your fingertips on it, progress that to back of your hand, and then no hand, but it's there close if you need it. Bring your feet together to start with, tighten up that core. If your feet are wide when you start, then you're already jumping and you're now wobbling. Okay, so bring those feet together, tighten up, be tall, and from here raise that knee slowly. One side's always better than the other, and then out to the side and bring it back, slow and controlled. And sometimes coming back is where it gets tricky. Plant it down. keep all that weight on that one leg. Bring it up, bring it out. So holding it is not going to help your balance improve too much. There's still a little benefit, you're learning the movement, but just lightly touching it, the leg you're standing on is now doing a lot more work. And then go to the back of your hand, and your goal then would be to not touch the chair, but you have your hands right close to it. If you need it, it's right there. And place it down. Now all this movement comes first from your core, so lock that in. Once your core opens and relaxes, you're not as stable, not as steady. So if you feel like you're shaking a little bit, just check, have I tightened up, am I still tall? And that often fixes it. Otherwise you might need a break, and a break here, go back and do the other leg a few more, or move on to the next exercise. Okay, all right. Okay, so from here we're going to work on the back and top of your shoulders with a frontal raise. So in the other workout, you were going out to the side. This workout, you're going up in front. So you don't need very heavy weights for this. So with the last one, your feet were planted shoulder width apart and you went out to the sides, little pause, control it down. The exact same, except this time we're going to roll your shoulders forward and we're going to bring your knuckles up about chin or eye level, pause, slowly back down. So it's always coming down a little slower than it's heading up. So from here, slight bend your knees, don't lock your knees, just a little bend. From here, bring it up, pause, and bring it back down. Very important, more so on this one than this one, that your core is locked in tight, because as soon as those weights go away from you, it's pulling you forward, putting a lot of pressure on your lower back to pull you back up. So if your core set is not solid, it is your lower back that's keeping you upright. And you don't really want that. You don't want your lower back to be doing that work. Alright, so stay stacked, shoulders, head, shoulders over your hips, over your feet. And from here, you can start with one weight if you want. And from here, it's straight up, little pause, slowly down. Okay, you can put that weight in one arm, bring the other one up, do a few on that side, do a few on the other side. Just remember to give that little pause and control it back. Reset, up, slowly back down. If you feel like you're losing control or you have to really swing it up, just take a moment, take a break, reset, and if you really can't control it, that means you're finished. Just move on and next time do another extra one. So again, 12 is a good rep for that, 12 to 15. Initially, once 12 to 15 becomes too easy, we'll increase it for you. Alright, so that's the front and the back, or the top and the back of your shoulders. So we've done your legs, we've done your core, we've done your stabilizing fall prevention muscles and core, we've done your shoulders. We're going to take it to the floor now. Before I do that, I do want to show you the movement that we're going to add into your workout next week. And it is a hinge at the hip, it's a deadlift action it's called. And from here, be tall from hips to head, and from head to feet is straight, and we're going to hinge over at the hips. Slight bend in the knees and pull yourself back upright. So if you're going to you can put your hands on your thigh, slide your hands down past your knees, down your shin. Feel a little stretch in the back of your upper leg. Go to your stretch point and then pull back up. But go to your stretch point that your core and your back stays in the same position as it is right now. Okay, so I'm not rolling the spine over. Okay, instead I'm keeping it at this angle. I'm stacked, I got a natural curve in my spine. Lower back curves this way and then upper back curves this way. That stays the same. I'm just hinging at the hip, over and back up. And go as far as you can control. So start off hands down, reach for your knee and back up without curving. If that was easy, reach for the lower part of your knee, come back up. I'm looking on the ground just over here. The distance between my chin and chest stays the same. So if you trap an orange underneath, try not to let that imaginary orange escape. So as I'm going down, I'm not lifting my chin up. I'm not doing like a Pez dispenser. I'm not doing that, okay? That distance stays the same as I'm reaching down and coming back up. Same angle from chin to chest. And just slowly find your range of movement. We'll do this in more detail the next time I'm talking to you. Okay, so from there now we're going to take it to the ground and do a glute bridge march. The other workout we're doing the bridge. In this workout we're doing a march. So from here, bring those feet in close to your hips, heels into the ground, toes up, just like the first workout. And we're going to push your hips up until you feel a stretch. Open up the hips like you're standing tall. All the weights on my shoulders and upper back. No weights on my neck or head. At any point I could be able to lift my head up. Now there's no need to lift your head up, but you should not be any pressure. Should not be any pressure on your head. Alright, so squeeze the glutes, the back of your hips squeeze together. Heels in the ground means your hamstrings are already working. Without dropping your hips down or tilting, we are going to try and lift one foot off the ground, place it back on the ground. Other side now lifts and places it back. Now the magic here happens when you're shifting from one foot up to the other foot up. So it's not about how high the foot comes, it doesn't matter really, but really from here, transitioning your way to the other foot without tilting, that's where the magic happens. So lock in your core and don't tilt. Don't drop your hips. And every now and again, once both feet are down, just check, pop them back up if they've dropped. Now they're up, but I haven't arched my back. And if you need to, drop down, take a break, and then come back up and do it again. Okay? So that's your hamstring bridge. And the last exercise I want to show you that we're going to introduce is a hollow body type exercise. So we're going to hug those knees. We're going to come up, hug those knees. So shoulders come up off the ground and the hips rock up a little bit off the ground, but your lower back goes right into the ground. That's the work here. So we're just going to let the knees go. Try and keep that lower back in the ground. That's the work. Okay. You can support your head if you want. If this gets very uncomfortable on your neck, that's okay. We can modify that, no problem. And then as your knees drift past your hips, it gets so difficult to keep your lower back in the ground. Your back wants to arch. Okay, so find the point where it's difficult, and that's what you're going to work at. If it's manageable here, but you can go a little further. My back wants to come up now, but I can go a little further. Heels stay close to the floor. And this is tough. Just find the point where it's difficult for you to keep your lower back in the ground. I like to, sometimes I put a belt under my back, and if I feel like I'm just having that feedback, pushing into that belt, sometimes I try and take it. It lets me know if my back has arched or not. Okay. After that, we're going to take a break. You're going to go through those exercises again, and then you're going to do your plank 3 times at the end. So 3 times, take a minute break, and then again, take a minute break, and then do it the 3rd time. Okay, just remind you of the plank. You are tall, straight line from head, right through your heels. Okay, shoulders are down towards your hips. Your elbows can be directly underneath your shoulder. They can also be slightly ahead of your shoulder. If you have very tight tendons here, you might not be able to put it comfortably here. So you can bring it forward just a little bit, and that's okay. Forearms in the ground, stomach pulled in towards your back, squeeze the glutes, and hold that position with good quality. Okay. And every now and again, go through that checklist. Make sure your head hasn't dropped. Definitely make sure your hips haven't dropped. Corset is tight. If your corset opens up, hips tend to drop down, and we tend to use our lower back to pick it back up. And that's not the plank. So if that's happening, reset it, or take a little break, okay, and come back in. And there's so many more ways to make that more challenging as we need to. Alright, so I hope this helped. You can watch this video a couple of times. You can even use it after your warm-up. Press play. Your rest between exercises could be watching the next exercise, then just pause. Do that exercise yourself, 12 to 15 repetitions, or as you're getting better, you can add on more or make it more challenging. Play the video again as you're taking a little sip of water, show the next exercise, pause it, and then do it. And in a few times you'll have all these movements fairly well dialed in and linked to the names, of course. Okay, thank you very much, and please reach out if you've any questions at all.